Welcome to the Stoic Tide. Here's the truth most men will never face. Women aren't turned on by your looks, your car, or even your bank account. Those things may catch her attention, but they won't hold her desire. What makes a woman truly crave you, what makes her restless at night replaying your words in her head, isn't physical, it's psychological. And it all comes down to what you say and, or more importantly, how you say it. Most men waste their words trying to please. They over-explain. They shower her with empty compliments. They text paragraphs when a single line would have done more damage. And because of that, women forget them as soon as the conversation ends. But then there are men who use language like a weapon. They don't flood her with words. They drop just two, simple, sharp, unforgettable. And those words flip her psychology. This video is about those two words. Two words that, when used with the right frame, ignite curiosity, command respect, and spark desire. Most men will never use them because most men are too afraid of tension, too afraid of silence, too afraid of power. But if you're ready to stop being the man who chases and start being the man who makes her chase, then lean in. Because once you understand the psychology of these two words, you'll never look at attraction the same way again. Let's set the stage. Desire isn't logical. Desire isn't about what makes sense on paper. If it were, the nice guy who gives her everything would win every time. But he doesn't. Because desire is born in tension. It's sparked in curiosity. It's forged in boundaries. And words, just two of them, are the sparks that light that fire. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you can dye a woman's thoughts with your presence, if you can occupy her imagination long after you've left the room, then you've already won. The men who do this don't speak to fill silence. They speak to create it. They don't use words to beg for approval. They use words to trigger a chase. So what I'm about to show you isn't a gimmick. It isn't a pickup trick, it's a psychological shift. When you learn how to use these two words, you'll notice something. Her eyes linger longer, her texts come faster. Her investment in you grows deeper. Not because you begged for her attention, but because you rewired the way she sees you. And that's the difference between the man she forgets and the man she can't stop desiring. Number 1, words create desire. Here's where most men fail. They think attraction is about doing more. More compliments, more reassurance, more proof that they're interested. They drown her in words, hoping she'll finally give in. But the truth is, the more you explain, the less she feels. Why? Because words don't create desire when they're used to please. Words create desire when they're used to provoke. Psychologically, women are far more responsive to emotional triggers than logical ones. You can't logic your way into her attraction. You can't convince her to want you. What you can do, though, is spark her imagination. And the imagination is 10 times more powerful than reality. A woman's mind will replay a single ambiguous phrase more than 100 compliments. She'll crave the man who left her guessing long after she forgot the man who spelled everything out. Take Tom, 48. On paper, he was average. Average looks, average income, nothing flashy. But women pursued him relentlessly. Why? Because he never wasted his words. When a woman asked him, "Do you like me?" he didn't gush with flattery. He didn't reassure her. He smirked, leaned back, and said, "Maybe." That single word triggered a storm in her mind. She started wondering, what does he mean? Is he interested? Why won't he just say it? That curiosity pulled her in harder than any compliment could have. This is what Epictetus meant when he said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." The more you listen, the more weight your words carry when you finally decide to use them. And when those words are sharp, intentional, and rare, they create obsession. Here's your shift. Stop talking to impress. Stop explaining yourself. Stop throwing out words like confetti. From this moment on, treat your words like bullets. Precise, measured, and powerful. Because when you speak less, when you use the right words at the right time, you don't just talk, you ignite. And women don't chase the man who floods them with empty noise. They chase the man who plants a single thought and leaves them restless, needing more. Number 2, the power of tension. Here's the part most men will never understand. Women don't fall for the man who gives them everything up front. They fall for the man who makes them wait, who makes them wonder, who makes them feel that restless mix of curiosity and anticipation. In other words, they fall for tension. Psychologically, tension is the lifeblood of desire. Without tension, attraction dies. Think about the thrill of a story you can't put down. It's not because the ending is obvious. It's because you don't know what's coming next. That's the same energy women crave in men. Certainty is safe, but safe doesn't seduce. Uncertainty, the right kind, keeps her hooked. Now picture Ryan, 32. He was used to being the nice guy. On dates, he'd rush to fill every silence, over-explain his intentions, and reassure her constantly. Women were polite but uninterested. Then one night he tried something different. She asked him where the relationship was going.
And instead of dumping his feelings on the table,
He simply smiled and said, "We'll see." That phrase, delivered with calm confidence, flipped her psychology. She couldn't stop thinking about it. Why wasn't he rushing? Why wasn't he desperate to define things? That small injection of uncertainty created the chase. Seneca once wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." The same principle applies to desire. Delay, mystery, and tension are what stretch her emotions. They force her to lean in instead of lean away. Most men kill desire by over-explaining, trying to solve every emotional gap. The rare man fuels desire by leaving space. Here's your shift. Stop fearing silence, stop fearing uncertainty. Don't answer every question immediately. Don't rush to ease her tension. Let her sit with it. Let her chase the resolution. Because when you master the art of tension, you stop being another predictable man, and you become the story she can't stop reading. Number 3, the first word, maybe. Now we arrive at the first of the two words that flip a woman's psychology on its head. Maybe. At first glance, it sounds weak, almost evasive. But used correctly, maybe is the most powerful word in your arsenal. Why? Because it embodies ambiguity. It denies her the certainty she craves while keeping the door open just enough for her imagination to run wild. And it's imagination, not facts, that fuels desire. Psychologically, maybe is addictive because it creates an unfinished loop in her mind. The Zeigarnik effect teaches us that humans obsess over incomplete answers. When you say yes, the loop closes. When you say no, the loop closes. But when you say maybe, the loop stays open, and she keeps coming back, trying to close it herself. Take Tom again, 48. A woman he was dating asked, "Do you like me?" Most men would have jumped to reassure. He didn't. He tilted his head, smiled, and said, "Maybe." Then he changed the subject. That one word drove her insane. She admitted later she replayed it all night, analyzing his tone, wondering if he was teasing, trying to decode his meaning. That's the power of maybe. It shifts the burden of pursuit onto her. Marcus Aurelius said, "You always own the option of having no opinion." Maybe is the verbal embodiment of that truth. It shows you're not rushing to define, not desperate to commit, not enslaved to her need for clarity. You hold your frame, and in doing so, you force her to chase yours. Here's your shift. Next time she asks for validation, don't hand it over like cheap candy. When she asks if you like her, if you're interested, if you want to see her again, lean back, smile, and say, "Maybe." Not with arrogance, but with calm amusement. Then let it sit. Watch how quickly she leans in. Because maybe tells her the one thing most men never do. You'll know when I decide you've earned it. Number 4, the second word, enough. If maybe creates curiosity, the second word creates respect. And respect is the soil in which desire grows. That word is enough. Most men don't know how to use it. They let women push, test, and disrespect all in the name of not losing her. They think patience earns love. But what it really earns is contempt. Because a woman cannot desire a man she doesn't respect. And nothing earns respect faster than calmly saying, "Enough." Psychologically, this word flips the power dynamic. When you say enough, you're telling her that you value your standards more than her approval, that you'd rather walk away than compromise who you are. This isn't anger. It isn't punishment. It's clarity. And clarity is irresistible. Consider Paul, 39. He was dating a woman who loved to test his boundaries, showing up late, canceling last minute, taking jabs at him to see how he'd react. For years he would laugh it off, trying to be the easygoing guy. But one night when she mocked him in front of friends, he turned, looked her in the eye, and simply said, "Enough." Then he walked out. The next day she chased him harder than she ever had before. Why? Because in that moment she realized he wasn't afraid to lose her. He valued himself more than her games. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The man who has enough is free. He's not enslaved to anyone's approval, and that freedom makes him magnetic. Here's your shift. Practice saying it, not in anger, not in pettiness, but in calm conviction. When she crosses a line, don't negotiate. Don't explain. Don't apologize. Just say enough and mean it, because that one word tells her more about your strength than 100 speeches ever could. Number 5, how to use them together. Now here's where the real power lies. Maybe and enough are potent alone, but combined they're unstoppable. One fuels her curiosity. The other earns her respect. Together, they create the perfect storm of desire. Psychologically, this combination works because it balances tension with boundaries. Maybe keeps her imagination alive. Enough keeps her behavior in check. One pulls her in, the other prevents her from pulling you down. It's a dance, and the man who masters it becomes unforgettable. Take Daniel, 42. A woman he was seeing asked, "Do you want me?" Instead of gushing, he smiled and said, "Maybe." Later, when she pushed too far during a playful argument, he leaned back, shook his head, and said, "Enough." She admitted later she had never felt more attracted to a man. Why? Because he gave her the chase she craved and the boundaries she respected. He was unpredictable without being unstable. He was strong without being rigid. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." A good man doesn't need endless words to prove himself. He needs only the right ones spoken at the right time. Here's your shift. Blend them. Use maybe when she seeks reassurance, when she's leaning too hard on your validation. Use enough when she crosses the line, when she tests to see if you'll bend. Let those two words shape the frame of your connection. Because when she feels both restless curiosity and unshakable respect, she won't just like you. She'll desire you in a way she can't fully explain. Number 6, timing is everything. Even the right words lose their power if you use them at the wrong time. Most men fire too quickly, desperate to impress, desperate to win her over. They reveal their hand before the game has even begun. But mastery isn't just knowing what to say. It's knowing when to say it. Psychologically, timing creates impact. Think of silence before a punchline. Think of a pause before a reveal. It's the space that makes the words land. If you drop maybe too early, it sounds evasive. If you drop enough too soon, it sounds insecure. But when you wait, when you hold the pause, when you let her lean in first and your words hit like thunder. Consider Alex, 34. On his second date, she asked if he wanted to see her again. He didn't answer right away. He let the silence hang, let her eyes search his face. Then with a half smile, he said, "Maybe." That pause made her heart race. Later, when she playfully pushed him one too many times, he leaned back and said, "Enough." That combination, perfectly timed, flipped her from casual interest to deep pursuit. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." The same is true here. Without patience, without the friction of waiting, your words lose their edge. Timing is the trial that polishes them into power. Here's your shift. Don't rush. Let silence work for you. Deliver maybe only when she's leaning in. Deliver enough only when she's testing you. And always remember, the pause before the word is just as powerful as the word itself. Number 7. The man behind the words. Now let's be brutally honest. Words mean nothing if the man behind them is weak. You can say maybe 100 times, but if it comes from insecurity, it won't spark desire. It will spark pity. You can say enough, but if it comes from fear of loss, it won't earn respect. It will expose neediness. The power of these words doesn't come from the syllables. It comes from the frame of the man speaking them. Psychologically, this is about congruence. Women are experts at reading energy. If your words don't match your presence, she feels it instantly. Maybe only works if you're truly indifferent to her validation. Enough only works if you're genuinely willing to walk away. The moment your words and your reality don't align, she knows you're bluffing. Look at Jonathan, 45. He had just gone through a brutal divorce, and for the first time in his life, he rebuilt himself from the ground up. He got in shape, started a business, and rediscovered his sense of purpose. When he began dating again, women could feel it. When he said maybe, it carried weight because he meant it. When he said enough, it landed because he lived it. His words weren't tricks. They were extensions of his reality. And that's why women chased him. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." You can memorize phrases all day, but if you don't live as a man of strength, your words are empty. Here's your shift. Don't just use maybe and enough as tactics. Use them as reflections of who you are becoming. A man who doesn't need to beg. A man who doesn't tolerate disrespect. A man who holds curiosity and commands respect, not by performance but by presence. When you embody the man behind the words, women won't just hear you, they'll feel you. And that's what makes them desire you. So here we are. 2 words, simple, sharp, unforgettable. Maybe, enough. Alone, they're powerful. Together, they're magnetic. But more than that, they're symbols. Symbols of a deeper truth. Women don't chase men who give everything. They chase men who hold back. Men who create curiosity. Men who enforce boundaries. Men who live by principles, not by approval. Brother, you don't need to be the richest. You don't need to be the best looking. You don't need to be the smoothest. You just need to be the man who can sit in silence, who can smile at the test, who can say maybe with calm indifference and enough with unwavering conviction. That man doesn't chase, he attracts. He doesn't beg, he commands. And once you become that man, women won't just want you. They'll desire you in ways that defy logic. If you're ready to stop chasing and start being the man women chase, here's what I want you to do. Drop the phrase maybe enough in the comments so I know you're part of this brotherhood. Subscribe because this isn't the end of the story. See you in the next video.